Hi everyone, Bill Duvendack here with another monthly astrological preview video for what's coming up in February 2022. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Adam Knox and the Cult of You. We are now celebrating about 1 year of doing this. So for all of you that have seen all the previews that we've done during the year, congratulations! Help yourself to a gold star sticker at the local craft shop. For those of you that are just tuning into this, we do this every month. It's just a real rough overview of things that are going on astrologically so that you can keep up with things that are happening in your life. You can look at transits and things that are going on, and you can get a general feel for how to relate to people that you come across in your daily life in the outside world. Now, having said all that and having taken a swig off of that blessed coffee, let us go ahead and turn our attention to what's going to be a pretty profound month, astrologically speaking. The main thing is that Venus just stationed direct at the end of January. So any situations that have to do with money or romance or how you feel about your career or your occupation, a lot of that is now going to move into forward mode rather than retreading already present ground. So if there's been a lot of start and stops or headaches in those areas, you can watch for those to ease up. Now, that's not going to happen immediately at the beginning of February, but rather it's going to happen about 1 week in. And the reason for that is because on February 1st, we have the new moon. So it's all new beginnings on the tails of Venus moving direct. So those areas can go through a bit of a renaissance. And then Mercury moves direct on the 5th. So basically, these first 5 days of February are going to be a time to wrap things up, but wrapping things up that have to do with Mercury, not Venus. So wrapping up communication issues, technology issues, electrical issues, things like that. And to break it down, in short, Venus directing took care of the love and the money. Now, Mercury getting ready to move direct takes care of the communication and your ability to relate and get along with people that you come into contact with in your daily life. And here's where things get heavy. Because once Mercury moves direct on the 5th, and I give it about a day or so, so let's call it the 6th. Once Mercury's done with that, all of the major planets in the solar system that we look at in astrology are going to be direct until the end of April. Now, something like this happens every year where there's a small window of time at the beginning of the year where all of the planets are direct rather than some retrograde and some direct. But what sets this year apart is that this year it's a longer period of time. We've got all of February, all of March, and all of April for forward progress and forward momentum. For those of you that watched last month's video, you know that the way that I looked at January was kind of like the hangover month of 2021. Now that we're through that, you have a better sense of what I mean. So now, really, when all these planets move direct, that's the time that the new year starts. Now, energetically, it doesn't start till spring equinox in March for those in the northern hemisphere. But regardless of where you're at on the planet, coming up is going to be a real good time to move forward with things, embrace the new, make changes. If you've been wanting to do projects, but they've been delayed because of the Venus and Mercury retrogrades, now's going to be the time to move forward on them. If you've been moving forward on them and they have hit a lot of snags and delays, this is why. But you can expect those to dissipate, or you can problem solve your way around them after the 6th. So then the whole essence of February, once we get through Mercury, is forward motion. Now this just isn't moving forward. This is a little bit more than that. And we're going to break it down. So the first 2 weeks, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So it's time to change how you communicate. It's time to change how you adapt. It's time for transformation. And there might be some people listening to this that say, well, I don't need to make any changes. Bullshit. We've all got to make changes. We determine where they are. We determine what they have to do with. And we determine how much we want to engage in the transformative process. But nobody on fucking earth is perfect. So if you think you don't need to change, that's the first problem, is you got to change your ego and the issues that come with that toxicity. This is important because with Mercury conjunct Pluto, not only is it time for inner transformation like I just delineated, it also means other people will be transforming. So if you want to stay in line with them, step up or step out. Sometimes we change not because we feel like we need to change, but because the world around us is changing, and we realize if we don't change in tune with it, we're going to get left behind. So I think that's a major part of the lesson to remember here. These first 2 weeks, when Mercury is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn and then the early degrees of Aquarius, it's all about changing in the name of growth, changing in the name of maturity, changing in the name of professionalism. One thing I always point out to people is the older I get, the more precious time is. Because we only have a finite number of days to suck air, and 99.9% of us don't know how long that is. So things that might have taken a lot of time when we were younger should now be happening faster. If we're still living out the same thing we were doing 20 years ago, that's a problem. Even if we love what we're doing. Our consciousness should be shifting and evolving, if nothing else. Now, right on the heels of that, we have Mars conjunct Venus in Capricorn from approximately the 16th through the end of the month. Mars, of course, is the energy of the divine masculine made flesh. Venus is the energy of the divine feminine made flesh. And together in Capricorn, they are all about stepping up your game. Not just with regards to being your own god and your own goddess, but also with regards to how you handle people and get along with people of the opposite sex or with different gender identities than what you might have. So this is a time to, again, step up, but focus on how you can improve your relationships with people in general. Everybody has a masculine side to them, and everybody has a feminine side to them. It's just varying degrees and expressions that come into play. And the reason this is important is because as we continue to move forward into this century and into this next millennium, it's going to be wise for us to practice mindfulness. It's going to be wise for us to practice understanding. seeing things from other people's perspectives, and embracing their causes as our own when applicable and appropriate. So you're going to get a good chance to put all this into practice for basically the last 2 weeks of February. Now, at the very end of the month, we've got Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. So as you move forward through the month of February, remember this, because what it means is at the end of the month, you're probably going to get tested to see if you have put into practice those things that you wanted to. You're probably going to find that your words matter more than they normally do. However, if you've already been working on this, then this time period also says you'll see the fruits of your labor. So you'll see the results that you get from it. Also, towards the end of the month, we get Pluto conjunct Mars, conjunct Venus, all in Capricorn. You notice how by the end of February, the sun is moved into Pisces, but we've still got this heavy Capricorn energy. For the bulk of February, there's going to be a lot of material in Aquarius. And Aquarius and Capricorn sit next to each other in the natural zodiac, so that means it's time for a lot of minor changes and adjustments. Now, when the sun shifts to Pisces, you may find you don't need to do a lot of minor adjustments. Things start flowing together nice and smoother and smoothly, so that you can embrace more of the spiritual and the finer side of life. In the natural zodiac, Capricorn energy and Pisces energy get along very well because they kind of counterbalance each other. So you can expect a lot of this to come up the later that we get into February. And then finally, like I just mentioned, the sun is into Pisces at the end of the month, and it conjuncts Jupiter. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Pisces. It joins the other ruling planet of Pisces, which is Neptune, in their sign. It has already gone in, but it gets more pronounced when the sun comes along and makes contact with Jupiter. So you may find that all things Piscean are exaggerated at the end of the month and for the majority of March. On one hand, this is good. Pisces is visionary energy. Pisces is avant-garde energy. Pisces is creative energy. Pisces is empathic energy. Pisces is sympathetic energy. Pisces is inclusion in all ways if they're a healthy Pisces. Pisces is psychic. Dreams correspond to Pisces. But then again, so does escapism, abuse, and addictions. What all this means is that if you embrace a lot of the positive traits that I mentioned there, this is going to be a good time for a lot of spiritual growth and progress. But if you fall prey to the negative aspects, such as escapism and bad habits and what I mentioned, this could be like hell on earth. It could be too much of a good thing that takes you down a dark road. So let's put a practical spin on this. When the sun comes along and contacts Jupiter in Pisces in March, it's a good time to expand your spiritual horizon. It's a good time to expand your ability to be compassionate towards all people and all beings everywhere. It gives you an opportunity to explore visionary ways, to embrace them, and to promote them on the greater scale of society. And see, that's an important thing. Right now, there are a lot of extremist views out there, politically and socially speaking, and the easy way to think of them is that they are cornered, frightened thought forms that are lashing out because they know that their end is nigh. And with all this activity in Pisces that's coming up at the end of February and for the majority of March, it's time to kick them to the goddamn curb. The enemy of Pisces thought is to say, Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm a Pisces. I got every room to bitch about this. Just because something's working and has worked doesn't mean it should continue to be that way. In that way, the Pisces energy that's out there is all about moving forward. It's a new century. It's a new millennium. It's a new paradigm. With technology, things are shifting. And the astute will shift with it. The astute will maximize the gain. So where I'm going with this is just because something is solid and has been around a long time doesn't mean it's worth a shit now or in the future. It means it was great at the time. It means it did exactly what it needed to do. But these times they are a changin', to quote a very popular songwriter. The thing to avoid, though, is becoming that which you can't tolerate. I am all for pushing the envelope and taking things to the next level. I am all for the visionary. But I'm also a firm believer that you should not be so open-minded that your brains fall out. There is a limit to being too visionary, because if you get too visionary and too progressive, you erode the foundation that you're built on, and then you have nothing but quicksand under you. So, of course, the accurate and healthy answer here is to be a visionary and be progressive, but not at the expense of the stability and the routine that you have in place. This idea may seem contradictory on the surface, but when you work with it, you will find that it's actually quite profound. It's having one foot in the future, but still firmly rooted in the present. It's saying, hey, there's a new idea coming down the pipe. Let's think about it. Let's study it. Let's see if it's better than what we have. And if it is, we should embrace it in the name of evolution. As the author H.P. Lovecraft pointed out, the oldest fear of humanity is the fear of the unknown. That's one of the reasons so many outdated structures, whether social or otherwise, are still around in the world today. People fear the unknown. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm guessing we're kind of similar with our thoughts here. I want to know the unknown. Why? Because I know the known, and what I don't know, I can learn. I'd rather experience the unknown. I'd rather take a chance on a new system or a new approach. Remember, the difference between a master and a student is that a master has attempted and failed more times than the student has even tried. So if you want to be a master of a subject, and it really doesn't matter what the subject is here, if you want to be a master of a subject, take your chances. Get burned. The same flames that purify you will be the flames that turn you to ashes, but that which is changed forever. I could rant about the energy of Pisces all day long, specifically with what we're talking about here. But it's pretty readily found in quality astrological sources. When the sun connects with Jupiter at the end of February, it's not only a time to expand our consciousness, it is also a good time to see what new and better ways are available to us than the tried and true comfortable methods that we use just because we're too damn lazy to change them. Yeah. I think everybody here knows exactly what I'm going for and where I'm going with this. So while the bulk of February is all about moving forward, at the very tail end of February, it's all about embracing the new. Aquarius and Pisces share that trait of being visionary and progressive. The only difference is Pisces is a mutable sign, which means that people with strong Pisces energy will say, Let's embrace the visionary. The Aquarian energy, which is a fixed sign, will say, yeah, let's embrace it. Let's break it down systematically, step by step. Let's do it logically. Let's do it consistent. Let's do it in a fixed manner, but still let's do it. And then you got all the other 10 signs who are not that very visionary oriented. I mean, Aries you could put in there, but most other signs are not looking at visionary as part of their nomenclature. So those 3 signs, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, are all about avant-garde and taking initiative and embracing the new. Which basically means from late January until late April, there is this vibe of visionary in the air. This year, it's a bigger window of opportunity from the beginning of February to the end of April, so why not think bigger? This is a piece of wisdom I got from working with Shiva many years ago. The reason many people fail often in life is because they don't think big enough. When the sun contacts Jupiter, regardless of what sign it's in, it's all about thinking bigger. It's all about go big or go home. It is all about expansion. So as we lay the groundwork with this video for what's coming up in February, I want you to think about that. What projects that you have are you not thinking big enough about? Because that's a problem. You should be thinking bigger. You know, some people say, oh, well, what if I fail? The counterpoint to that is, what if you succeed? Are you as prepared for success as you are failure? Because you should be. If you're not, you're never going to get anywhere. And yeah, this is my opinion, but I've seen it play out in my life and in the lives of others for the last 20 years that I can remember. So think about these things. Now, to begin to close and wrap this up, I do want to touch on a few other things. February 1st is the calendar celebration of Imbolg, the return of the first light, at least in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it is all about letting yourself shine in summer. Being your best and your brightest, being your most creative, being the most optimistic, being the most playful, getting the strokes of good luck and good fortune when you need them. Now, the astrological Imbolg is on February 3rd. Or, if you're in the southern hemisphere, the astrological Lunasa is on February 3rd. So you've got 2 opportunities to celebrate it. And this happens every festival season, so it's not an anomaly here. But I point it out because one of the ways that I like to celebrate it is I'll do the communal and the social stuff on the 1st, and then I'll do the private rituals on the actual astrological day of it. If you want to choose between the 2, I always promote lining things up astrologically because it's logical. You can't have astrological without logic. But, it doesn't really matter. It's all up to you. We have the new moon on February 1st, which coincides great with what we've been talking about. And then on the 16th is the full moon. So this full moon is right before the sun changes signs from Aquarius to Pisces, which underscores the profundity of how big and powerful this particular season of Pisces energy will be. Yeah, didn't pay a lot of attention to details in this month other than the conjunctions and the things we talked about here. But the reason for that is because I'm super excited that once February 6th hits, we can start moving ahead with stuff. I'm a little tired of 2021 and the hangover month that was January 2022. I kind of want to get started with this new calendar year. Doesn't mean I haven't started things now. It just means there's going to be a bigger pool of energy to draw from early February to late April. And I would rather magnify my results than diminish them. I would rather work with a greater pool of energy than take something that's trickling in and try it to turn it into something big. So anyway, don't forget, daily horoscopes are up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Monthly horoscopes are on the website, 418ascendant.com. The Cult of You has an astrologer page on Facebook, so if you're on there, give it a like. Don't do a lot of posting with it, but that's because we're going for accuracy and quality of content rather than just talking to hear ourselves talk. I mean, I love Adam dearly, but I'm pretty sure he and I share the perspective that if you're just talking to hear yourself talk, trying to, when you're on social media, is somebody talking for the sake of engagement, or are they talking just to hear themselves talk? If you want some meatiness, check out the Cult of You astrologer page. Check out what we got going on there. But regardless of what you do, and regardless of what your opinions and your attitudes are, just make sure that when February 6th rolls around, you maximize your gain. Because from early February to the end of April, there is so much available to you, I don't want to see you miss it. Let's blow the roof off this. Let's take the evolution of the species to the next level in spiritually enlightening ways and see what happens. You know, the last time we did something like that, it was the Renaissance. So let's tune in to how big this can be. Anyway, until we chat again, may we all receive blessings of good health, prosperity, and success as we move forward on the next month of our lives. So mote it be, or as the slang goes to the kids, smib. Peace.
I've always felt a little different, a little uneasy between regular folk, a bit of a dreamer, a lost cause, a little non-ordinary, some would say. I think I've always just been this way. My mother said I was special, my father thought I should be feared. But I knew that witchcraft coursed through my veins the first time I tasted the lips of the goddess inside the rain. Yes, I'm a witch, it's true. And sure, we are the ones who believe in the beauty of nature, who believe in the things science, absent of art, cannot explain, who instead of religion would have romance. And sure, you may think we have lost our way, when in the world of predictable things we have such unfamiliar things that we would like to say. But maybe, in a world so cold and alone, a little unfamiliar is exactly what is needed to show us the way home.